r/Askreddit by Reddit and chill. What is the most anti-scientific theory or idea you believe in? The less you study a particular section, the more likely it's going to be on the exam. This is an undiscovered law of the universe and I will not be convinced otherwise. If my body is inside the blanket, the monsters can't get me. There is scientific evidence to prove that 100% of people who sleep under their blankets have never been killed or harmed by monsters. Edit. Sexual harassment jokes aren't funny. Get creative. The surest way to determine if it will rain is to note whether or not I brought my umbrella that day. Another would be waiting ages for a bus, but it will arrive as soon as you light a cigarette. Some people have better luck than others. Either that or my friend knows how to roll natural 20s all the ducking time. You are not wrong, but you shouldn't think of luck as an external force so much as a combination of random chance and a person's susceptibility to opportunity. Here's a good start if you're interested in delving deeper. Forbes.com link F3E90 or 816,119. I am immortal. Source. Haven't died yet. Building on that. From your point of view you always will be. For eternity. Deja vu experiences are checkpoints to whatever my intended future is. I have no idea who set them up. And that not having regular deja vu experiences means I've ducked off the path. I used to have regular deja vu experiences. I thought I was the coolest kid in the world and it made me special. Turned out to just be epilepsy : jinxing. If I want something to happen, and its odds of happening are up to random chance, I do not talk about it beforehand. If I want it not to rain, I try not to even think to myself there probably won't be rain. Because if I do, it'll rain. This happens in medicine too. Especially in the EDA and ERMs. Gee. We haven't seen, insert name of most horrible and soul draining frequent flyer patient, in a while. Bingo. Chocolate is basically a vegetable. It's made from cocoa beans. And beans are definitely vegetables. So I can eat chocolate guilt-free. A soy and vanilla latte is 3 bean soup. The closer I am sleeping to the right side of the bed, the more vivid, intense, and terrifying my dreams are. The closest I am to the left side, I wake up remembering absolutely nothing. This is something I've proven to myself countless times over, but nobody believes me. Are you sleeping on your own left or right side of your body? Internal blood flow or pressure may be making a difference. There's a dimension for each work of fiction ever created, where it is the reality and our world is one of their fiction. Read the Anklet trilogy. It's an amazing fantasy series that involves that if I confess to my crush now, there's 99% chance for me to get rejected. The percentage is unscientific. Tip: don't make it a big deal. People are generally put off by people offloading stuff like "I've had a crush on you for a while" or other more committal phrasing. Not necessarily because they find it creepy or anything, although I'm sure many would, but because this adds a level of stress to their decision making when deciding what to tell you. Just tell him/her that you think they're cute, funny, charming, my go-to, and that you'd like to get to know them better by grabbing coffee or doing some other public activity that takes no more than an hour. Don't jump to the first date kind of stuff, movie and dinner, recreational activity, hobbies, etc. until after you've actually talked to them in casual conversation, one-on-one, for a bit. Not only for their sake but for yours too. This is not 100% guaranteed to get you a coffee date, but I believe it will give you better chances than other options. Sometimes I get the idea in my head that other people can read my mind, and I'm going to humiliate myself by thinking embarrassing thoughts. It's not a hardcore belief, but it pops up way too often. There's no proof at all that any sort of psychic exists, let alone that they'll be standing in the lobby of my office building. I get this. I also feel like I'm being watched 24/7. And I realized I just act when I'm in public. As in, I'm constantly aware of what my body is doing, how my facial expressions are, and I consciously alter them every moment I'm outside. It's exhausting. The few days before a full moon, my patients go crazy. Getting a laboring patient ready for a C-section will prevent the C-section. A change in weather will make patient's water break. My 15-year-old son was abducted by aliens and they left a hateful changeling in his place. My 15-year-old son was abducted by aliens and they left a hateful changeling in his place. Weird. The same thing happened to my daughters. The good news is that the aliens generally get tired of their shit and bring them back in about 3 years. That life is a sim and people are watching. There is no way I could prove it. I just got a feeling. I always felt like people were watching me through mirrors when logically I knew they couldn't. Like the bathroom mirror in my childhood home was on the other side of the wall to my grandparents' bathroom mirror. No one's looking through the mirrors and wall between them. I'm not a superstitious person, but I've never been able to fully shake the feeling that someone is looking at me. Your nose itches more the dirtier your hands, the more things you are holding. My Jeep has a curse. It's a 1996 and if anyone suggests I replace it or make fun of it because it's old, runs fine. Costs nothing to insure. Paid in full. In less than a week. Something catastrophic happens to their vehicle. The first time, it was a joke. The second time, it was a joke. It's been about 5 times now. I legit warn people. 3 times have been engine failures to 3 different people. You should keep that Jeep forever because it's awesome, and if it ain't broke don't fix it, and I'm hoping complimenting it will increase my car's lifespan. Haha. There's the theory that lizard people have infiltrated our society, lurking disguised as celebrities and politicians. Now, I don't know about that, but no one can tell me that Mitch McConnell isn't actually a turtle in disguise. Zuckerberg. That our universe is actually a giant ball. And we are on the inside. Outside of the ball are other balls of universes. And they all combine like atoms to make a giant creature. That creature is part of universe that is a ball. And all of those balls combine to become a creature. Etc. It's turtles all the way down. Man. Computers magically start working when an expert or tech support person sits down at them. Like we've got some sort of healing touch for electronics. Sure. There are rational explanations, like maybe people are just more careful about following instructions when the expert is watching. But I've seen it happen instantly. Even with people I would consider computer savvy. It's just witchcraft. Reincarnation. I just kinda believe in it. I'm not sure why. I don't go around acting on it. It's just that sometimes I have some thought assuming I've lived before and will again. I guess it's less a belief and more an assumption. It's a nice thought. So I don't see any reason to try and get rid of it. What got you into vaguely accepting reincarnation? That I'm gonna be okay. My roommate still believes you can divide by 0. He believes that we haven't discovered the number that you will get. I love the kid. But he's about to graduate with an engineering degree. And sometimes I just wonder how he can still believe that. Edit. Just because there is some confusion. Both my roommate and I know and understand that you can get infinity from this calculation. The argument on his end is that there is a completely different numerical answer, other than infinity, that you get from dividing by 0. As in there is a number we don't have defined yet. We are both well versed in basic arithmetic. Limits. Linear and regular algebra. etc. Dogs can feel guilt. I think the pet behavioral scientists have grabbed the wrong end of the stick here. I'm not one of those pet owners who think my dogs can feel human emotion. But I have observed guilt in dogs firsthand. The issue, I believe, comes from the definition of guilt. Scientists think it means a sense of right and wrong. Like a moral judgment. Obviously dogs don't have that. To me, guilt just means you know you've done something you shouldn't. And dogs absolutely do know that. They are not just reacting to my tone. Which is the common hand-waved explanation. How do you explain this scenario? I leave the house. Dog finds left out food. Or gets into the garbage. Or eats an item of clothing. I return. With no knowledge of what has happened. The dog avoids eye contact. Or hides. I then discover what the dog has done and realize why the dog has been acting strangely. That's guilt to me. It's self-proving. The dog did something wrong. Knew it was wrong. And couldn't face me. The scientists are wrong. I totally agree. I read that humans developed it as a way to avoid conflict. We need to appear to feel sad and repentant when we do something that harms someone else because it makes them more likely to forgive us. We evolved with guilt as a tool for self-preservation. And I see dogs using it the same way. Even though our guilt can run a little deeper and be a little less selfish. I don't see a significant difference between the root of the emotion. That we'll never get to the point where science is advanced enough that people will live forever. Indefinite lifespan would be a good way of putting it. Basically alive as long as desired and scientifically maintained. There's no reason to doubt it's possible. We just lack the capability. DNA damage? No problem. With enough tech we just bind it back together. Telomeres an issue? Bang, we fix it. Want to be 20 again? Nothing more than cell repair and DNA tuning. The biggest hurdle in my opinion is the human psyche may not be capable of dealing with life and the collection of experiences past some number of years. Memory is finite. So if the brain retains plasticity you'd expect old memories to disappear after enough time. But sanity is the real question. How do you maintain sanity in near endless time spans? Maybe a simple physiological fix for that too with advanced enough tech. Ultimately the question becomes one of philosophy. Are they human? They don't share our experiences of life, death, and meaning as we know it. What's another birth? Or marriage? Or graduation if you've had 600 years of them? Are they a new entity? So entirely similar to us but entirely different? You want one we really can't know regardless of future tech. Is time travel possible? By what mechanism could time ever reverse? Slow is one thing. Relativity is simple. But reversal seems impossible based on present understanding. What's past has passed. And what's really crazy is for all purposes it's no more gone than the future is. These are just our interpretations of events being linear. How can you go back if there is no such thing as a line to go back or forward on? I do the whole knock on wood thing. That we are all one consciousness experimenting existence itself. Now here's Tom with the weather. I firmly believe that Sasquatch is the most plausible cryptid out there. I'm not a Sasquatch believer per se but I agree with you. There are things about it that are unlike other creatures hunted by cryptozoology fans. If I tell someone about something good that happens in my life, that good thing goes away. It always seems to happen and it sucks cause I'm excited to tell people about a good thing that happened but I can't cause it won't happen or it'll go away if I do say something about it. If I spam the buttons in a particular order in Pokemon, it increases the catch rate. Your thoughts shape your reality. There's an entire therapeutic science around this called cognitive behavioral therapy. The theory is that after the latest Earth crust displacement Atlanteans moved to Antarctica, which had a warmer climate then. When it gradually froze so did the Atlanteans with it. The idea is that the remnants of their society are locked under ice. Guess we'll soon find out as the ice melts now. There's a Stargate buried underneath that Antarctic ice with them. Wyoming isn't real. You mean Wyoming? There are spirits of others that do communicate with some people. I have no way to explain how my wife knew to make me call my brother shortly after his wife's death. My wife said his wife was next to her all day bugging her too. We lived 2,000 miles away. My cousin was not religious and had made it known over the years to his wife. 3 kids and parents that he didn't want a funeral. He had an affair. Ended up leaving his wife of 20 years and marrying the other woman, who was Catholic. Shortly into their marriage he realized he'd thrown his whole life away with his first wife and children. Announced as much on FB as well as his plans to commit suicide. Which he did soon after posting. His new wife insisted on a funeral and we all attended because she said he was a changed man and had been going to church with her. The priest only spoke for about 5 minutes when the fire department arrived and evacuated the entire city block due to a natural gas leak out in the street. And that was it. No funeral. Linear time is an illusion created by our perception and perspective. And everything is happening, has happened, and will happen. And there's no difference between the three. Our funny little lives and brains only make it seem like it's linear. I remember reading something like that in a Kurt Vonnegut book. There were aliens in it that looked at time as a whole, and they thought humans were odd because we saw time so strictly, as if we had a pipe fixed to our face that we could only see what was in front of us, and we were stuck facing forward, going forward on a railroad cart. Ducking like and subscribe.